Okay, so we talked about frequency distributions and why we use them, right? To summarize distributions for categorical variables. And we also talked about the guidelines to construct good tables and the guidelines to construct good charts. Now we're going to put all that knowledge into practice, and we're going to create our own frequency distributions and our own charts and tables. Now, I want to work with a real data set so that you get a feel of what a real survey data set looks like. And for that reason, I decided to use the General Social Survey. The General Social Survey is a survey that goes to a sample of Americans. It's been going on since 1972, and they track national attitudes about different topics like guns, drugs, homosexuality, marriage, and they are very reputable, and they have some excellent questions out there. So we're going to use as an extract of a data set that came from the latest General Social Survey in 2018. So here we have a data set, like I said, and it comes from the General Social Survey of 2018. The first row, like we discussed, that's the variable name, and each row represents how a respondent answered in these particular variables, right? So just to get a sense, we have a code book here, and these are all the variables we have, right? An ID for the ID number or number of questionnaire, respondent sex, age, race, Hispanic origin, marital status, degree, household type, political party, region of the country, size of the city they live in, whether they have a cat, whether they own a dog, how happy they feel, how satisfied they're with their financial situation, whether they're working or not, their feelings about the Bible, their feelings or confidence in the existence of God, and their feelings about using spanking to discipline their own children. So the survey has many more variables, but I just extracted these few so that we can have a practice run with this. Now, before we do this, I want to, let's say our research question is, I want to find how happy Americans feel. What is the national mood in 2018? You know, when asked how happy you were, what were the responses for them? Now, I want to know exactly how this question was asked in the questionnaire. So I'm going to go to the General Social Survey website, and I am going to search for variables here. Now, the General Social Survey is independent, but the University of Chicago has a research center that hosts the data. And here you can download the data sets, you can look at trends for variables over time, etc. Now, we said that we're going to do an analysis on the variable happy. So I'm going to click on search variables. And you have all the variables there. Now, there are 6,110 variables, if you wanted to know. So I'm just going to search for the variable happy. And you see there's many variables that have the happy part of the word there, but variable happy is at the top, general happiness. If I click on that, you're going to see here that the variable's name is happy. It's core. It's part of the core part of the survey, right? Not of a special supplement. And the survey question was this. Taken all together, how would you say things are these days? Would you say that you are very happy, pretty happy, or not too happy? That's how it was worded in the questionnaire. Now you can see here that it's been asked every year with the exception of 2006. And you can see the responses here every year, right? Now, unfortunately, this table is showing you what? It's showing you only absolute frequencies. So you can't really compare how happy they were unless you transform these to relative frequencies. Well, you can do that with key trends here and have a good percent of population that responded very happy. You see it's pretty steady since 1972. And if we change that to not happy, and this is of course in percentage terms, right? It's of course a little better. In 1972, there was a lot of people that were happy, 17%, and came down to about 13%. Hasn't changed that much, but there are some fluctuations. It seems like the 90s people were very happy. Anyway, so this is something that you can do to know exactly how the question was asked. But anyway, back to our data set. We're back here. Now we know that the variable happy, people were asked in general these days, would you say you feel very happy, pretty happy, or not too happy, right? So if we go to the data set, we are going to find the variable happy somewhere. It is right there, right? Pretty happy, very happy, not too happy. Now let's see how many respondents we have. If we scroll down in our data set, we'll see that we have 2,349 respondents, right? Now, for many of these variables, not everybody answered the question, of course, and not everybody was asked the question either. So anyway, we're going to find out. We have 2,300 plus respondents, and we want to make sense of these variables. What percent of Americans said they were very happy from this data set? So now we're going to create a frequency distribution table from this data set. And now what I'm going to do here is go to this corner here in Google Sheets on my data set. And if you click there, it selects the entire data set. And there is nothing in this worksheet except for the data set. So I can, if there was something else, I would have to just select the data set. But because there's nothing else in the worksheet, I can go ahead and create everything. Once everything is selected, I'm going to go to data and then pivot table. And pivot table, this is the command or the analysis tool that we're going to be using a lot during this semester. Is one of the most powerful tools in Google Sheets or Excel. So if we click on there, it's going to ask us, first of all, what's the data range? And it's coming from this worksheet, and it goes from the first cell to cell number 2,349, the entire range. And we want the table to be in a new worksheet. So say create, and we're ready. You can see that we've come to a different worksheet, and this worksheet is called pivot table. And you will have pivot table 1. I have pivot table 3 because I've done this before. But anyway, this is it. Now you can set in on the right here. This is the editor. This is our command center. We're going to tell Google Sheets what we want on that table from here. We're going to tell Google Sheets what we want in the rows of that table, what we want in the columns, what we want for the values inside the table, and if we want to apply any filters for those rows, columns, or values. So let's start with the rows, and I'm going to add here one because it's going to ask us which variable do you want. Now Google Sheets already knows that the first row is the variable names. So I'm going to look for the variable happy here and click on happy. And I clicked on it, and you can see that it's already been added to the rows part. And if you see on the results here, you see that you have very happy, pretty happy, and not too happy. And there's a DK there. That means don't know. All right. Okay, good. So we've told Google Sheets we want this variable to be on the rows, but there's nothing on the table yet because we haven't told Google Sheets what we want for the values yet. So for values, we need to add which values are going to be counted for that variable. So if we click add, because we're doing the variable happy, we want people who responded to the variable happy in the values, right? We wanted the categories for the variable happy, and now we want the values for the variable happy. So if we click on happy, you will see now a count, right? It's showing you a count of the variable happy. And here we know that there are 2,348 respondents. 701 of them said they were very happy. 1,307 said they were pretty happy, and 336 said they were not too happy. 4 said they don't know, right? Now, we can do lots of things here, but now we already have our absolute frequency for this variable, right? Now we're going to get the relative frequency. Now we could do this in several ways. We can go to here to values, and right now it's saying that the summary of that variable, right, it's count, and we want a count, we want a frequency, so we want to know a count of everybody who answered in each category. So count is good. We could also say we get all these different types of calculations there, but right now we just want to count. And also it's asking us, how do you want me to present the data? Right now it's just a count, a raw count. But we can also say, give me a percent of the column. And if I click that, you will see that it automatically has changed the absolute frequency into a relative frequency, right? Now we know that 29.8 or 29.9% of respondents said they were very happy. 56% of respondents said are pretty happy, and 14 said they were not too happy. This is in 2018. Now, we can go back to the default, and then we have, again, the absolute frequency. Now, what if we wanted them side by side? Well, if we wanted them side by side, then what I'm going to do is, and we can add as many as we want, right? So I'm going to add one, and I'm also going to put happy there. And again, it's showing us the count of happy. These two are identical, but I want the absolute here and then the relative there. So this one is the absolute, and then for this one, I'm going to ask, give me the relative frequency. Now we have, for the variable happy, the absolute frequency and the relative frequency. Now, let's say this was a table that I was doing for some research that now I have to put in some Word document, or even if I wanted to create a chart out of this. So what I would do here, because this is a pivot table, this table has a lot of formulas in them. So I'm not going to use this particular one to take to my paper, right? It's not following the guidelines of a good table anyway. So what I would do here is copy this table, and then I'm going to add another worksheet here where I'm going to work on that table. Now, I'm not going to paste it a regular paste or like a Command V or a Control V in it. But I'm going to do a edit and paste a special, and I want the values there because I don't want all the formulas that come with a pivot table. So paste values only. And you see that I have same values that are coming, right? Without the colors, without all the formats, and without all the formulas. These are expressed as proportions. I can choose to express this as percent, and we have them. And now count of happy, that of course is too repetitive. Here I would put the percentage to say that this is a relative frequency. And here I would put just the frequency, denoting the absolute frequency. And now I can make this pretty table. Remember, no vertical lines, right, in APA. And we can play with borders here to make the table nice. So this is ready to be presented, right? Now, the other thing I could do is just erase these percentage symbols when I do that in my when I put that in my Word file. And I could take some zeros out as well, right? So that's how you would do that. And then I can copy this and paste it in a Word file. But first I need to label it, right? Happiness. Now, for any table or any chart, it's good practice to put the N. And that's a good table. Now, what if I wanted a chart out of this? Well, if I wanted a chart, then I can just simply select that and then go to Insert and add a chart. Now, if I click on Chart, Google Sheets is automatically going to choose a bar chart for me, right? But what if I didn't want that? Well, here's the chart editor on your right, and you can say, hey, I think because this is only 3 values or 4 values, I think a pie would be good. And this one, you know, would give me a pretty good idea of how the variable is distributed. And here, if I click on it twice, I can go back to the editor. And now I can change the chart title to N equals 2,348. Right, and I can do lots of things here. In the pie chart, if I click here, I can change the label for each slice. I can add like a donut hole if I wanted. I could add colors here so that you can see the categories better, right? I could do the same with the bar chart. Now I'm going to let you play with this. You know, you're going to click twice, and then you can play with this in terms of what you want to do, right? You click customize here, and you can change things with each pie. You can change the legend. You can change the charts and acts. Let's say the legend we want to play. Right now, it's automatic. But let's say I want the bottom. So that means it takes everything out of there. And then for the pie chart, I can say that the label, I want the percentage for each, right? So you can have that. I like this one better than the other one. It's a little less crowded. Anyway, this is how you would play with that. First, you would come to the data set. You would select it all, data, and then pivot table. When you click on there, It's going to ask you, do you want a new sheet? You're going to say yes, and then it's going to take you here. From here, for your rows, you're going to select the variable happy or whatever variable you're using, and then in the values here, right? Columns, we didn't select anything. In the values, we selected happy twice, one for just the count and the other one for expressed as the count expressed as a percent of column. Right? So this is an example of how you would do a frequency distribution for the variable happy.